with compassion, with some courage, and maybe some creativity. So what I mean by mindfulness is, for example, if you think of the last time you took a shower, do you recall the smell of the shampoo and the way the water felt on your body? Or did you get in the shower and go, oh, okay, if I get out of here in 2 minutes and I don't dry my hair, but then I could get to Starbucks before I go to the meeting, and then yesterday when I was talking to, and before you know it, you never took a shower. I mean, you did the physical shower, but you never really were in that present moment of enjoying the shower. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when we can have more mindful moments throughout our day, and they say that like about 46% of our day is not mindful at all. I don't know if I got that statistic exactly right, but when you have more mindful moments, you have really greater satisfaction in your life because you're not constantly taken over by your worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, or replaying all that stuff in your head, like you have a top 10 hit list of things that you keep going, that loop that goes over and over and over again. So there's various ways to get to this mindful place, and one of those is the practice of mindfulness meditation. Another one, and I'm going to teach 3 tools today. There is a breathing technique, a real simple breathing technique that I'll teach you. I'll do a guided body scan, a relaxation scan, and then we'll do a practice of meditation. So, and it's more than, people come to meditation for various reasons, but there is a lot of scientific evidence that's starting to get accumulated about what a practice can do for you. So, for example, in 2008, a neuroscientist at Harvard, her name was Sarah Lazar, she took fMRI scans on brains of people who meditated and people who didn't. And as it turns out, there's something called neuroplasticity, and the brain actually changes. So as we get older, certain parts of our brains get thinner, so not so great. But if you have a meditation practice, it actually changes the texture of the gray matter of your brain. So just like an exercise will help tone your muscles and help your endurance, a mindfulness practice changes your brain. So it's really kind of cool to think that there's something that we can do for our brains. So aside from all the other stuff that meditation may or may not do for you, it does change your brain, and it will do other things for you. What I don't know, but people say it helps them with anxiety, it helps with stress, it could help with sleep, it could actually help antidepressants work better. There are studies that show that adding a complementary technique like mindfulness meditation to antidepressants changes the effectiveness. So it's just, it's kind of one of those things. So like my mother would always say about the chicken soup, I don't know if it'll help, but it won't hurt. So I do not think it will hurt. Yeah. So do you have questions so far? We were talking before about why I came to it, and it did change things for me. And I think also the keeping track of it changed things for me.
Now, when you do just briefly, It sounds like you meditate every day. When you do your meditation, do you start with a breathing, with a chant, with a exercise? How do you what is your pattern? Because I always have a hard time getting to that point where I can feel okay, now I can be in the zone and meditate. So what do you do to get there?
Right. So for me, what I've done for most of the years since I started having this practice is I do a breathing exercise just like I'm going to show you. I do a body scan to myself. I just sort of check in with every part of me. And then I sit in stillness. So I do kind of warm up before I sit, but there are a million different kinds of ways to do it. And some people use, and I'll tell you, I can give you some resources too. Some people use guided meditations, and there's all kinds of free guided meditations online. And you could set, if you go to, for example, to Insight Timer and you want to just find a 5-minute meditation, you could find that. You just look under 5 minutes and there it is. Or you could do 30 minutes. So people do guided meditations. A mindfulness technique, quite frankly, is when you get into the shower next time, just keep bringing yourself back to your shower. So that's not technically maybe a meditation like when you see like on the cover of Time magazine, they always have the blonde, beautiful person, sitting cross-legged and they're, on the peak of a mountain. Yeah, like that is people do that. But also if you just spend time being more mindful, some people pick the longest line at the grocery store. And you just breathe.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Okay.
Shocking, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because, aren't you always in the wrong line?
I'm always in the wrong line,
Always
so
in-
I guess I need to find something to do in that
So
wrong
you
line.
embrace the long line then, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I should because I'm always in it.
So, things just really don't go the way they're supposed to go. You might have noticed.
Mhm.
So, right, if you plan a picnic, it's rains, right? So there's so much that we can't control. So somehow or other, being more mindful helps accept what is happening. I mean, that's really what the mindfulness is. It's accepting the present experience without trying to change it, which doesn't mean that, you lay down and, let everyone just walk all over you. It doesn't mean that at all. But it means that there's things that you're just going to go with. And the rest of it, you give up. And somehow or other, once I started to have this practice, even though I was taking time, and I started with 20 minutes, I just did it. I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Somehow, once I started to have the practice, I had more time available. So it's like kind of that magic thing, like where you have, do you ever hear that analogy? Someone says, you take a jar and you put the biggest rocks are the most important thing, and you put them in first, and then you fill it up with smaller and smaller activities, but you make sure you get those big things that you want to get done first. Because otherwise, if you fill it up with all the other little things and then you try to put your big stuff that you want to accomplish in, it's not going to fit in the jar. I think that something about this practice allows you to see your priorities more clearly. At least that did happen for me, and that's just anecdotal, but it did. And it just changed a lot of things for me. So as we learn to do this and become in a more mindful place, it's kind of like you say, you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. So that we want this equanimous place. We want to be in this place where we can, as the rockiness of the waves comes up, and I planned the picnic and it's raining. And okay, how am I going to deal with that? And how am I going to appreciate that I can still be with the people that I love, even though we're inside and we're not doing the thing we plan to. How do you get it? How can you see it all? And that's mindfulness. But we have to practice, and that's the key. So, and it's really also an attention. It develops your attention so that you can pay more attention. Your whole life people are saying, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, but nobody ever tells you how to cultivate that. And this is something that helps you cultivate paying closer attention. So another thing, well, I'll get to that. I want to do something where we do a listening exercise between us. See how that goes. That's a new thing that I just learned. I'm doing the certification program, so I'm excited to try that out with you guys. So, so shall we practice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so easy peasy. Be comfortable. Just be aware. You can put your feet flat on the floor if that's comfortable for you. I'm thrilled that I don't have my shoes on. And I can feel the carpeting under my feet. So we're just going to do a very simple breathing technique. And all it is we're not forcing anything. It's nothing fancy. It's just finding that inhale and the exhale. So you could put your hands on your belly if you want. You know, you see a baby and you want to make sure that they're still breathing, you look for their belly rising and falling. And it's the same, you know, with us. As you inhale, your belly expands, and as you exhale, it contracts. Same with your chest. Or you might notice more your nostrils. You might feel that cool breath coming in and the warm breath going out. So all we're going to do is try to find your breath, which is a little more difficult than it seems, because if you exaggerate your breath, it's pretty easy to notice. So can you go inside and notice your own breath? And each inhale and exhale is to the count of 1, and then the next one is the count of 2, until you get to 10, or until you lose track. So if you lose track or get distracted, no judgment, don't beat yourself up, just start again. So see if you can find your breath. And count. Each inhale and exhale is 1. And if you lose track, simply start again. And the next time you get to 10, just open your eyes. So it's interesting to get that quiet and to be with you and to find your breath. And so Helen was asking about what I do when I meditate. Sometimes I do this breath meditation. So it's as easy, you could do it just like this, counting. Or as you sit in stillness, you keep coming back to your breath, finding it over and over. And you will get distracted, thoughts come up. But the idea is to develop a more constructive relationship with your thoughts. So your thoughts are like little tyrants. They'll like take you all over the place. They're kind of like if you're ever with little kids and you're trying to get something done and they're like, look at me, I want you to do. And you say, okay, honey, you go play by yourself for a little while. Just let me finish this and I'll be with you. Or come help me. So same thing with your breath, you know, as you're doing it, you're finding your breath, you're concentrating, and then your thoughts take over. Like, okay, honey, I'll be with you later. I'm coming back to my breath over and over and over again. So that is one way, and probably what we'll do today, actually, for the meditation part. So how did that go for everybody?
I felt very peaceful doing it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was good. I started with a major headache on my right side, and it's like after doing that, it's kind of half gone. It's not totally gone, but it did kind of reduce it a bit. Yeah.
Huh. So it's interesting to actually feel the headache, because usually if we have pain of any sort, emotional pain, physical pain, we're like trying as hard as we can to push it away. Like that's our just natural reaction. Like, I don't want the headache, I don't want the heartache, whatever it is, I want to push it away. Mindfulness is different. So mindfulness is acknowledging it and observing it, not necessarily interacting with it, but what does it feel like? And what about the other parts of you? Feel this and this is bothering me, it's throbbing, what is it? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Does it radiate, or is it like in one spot? So you're like doing an experiment. You're just observing yourself. And you won't be able to stay on it forever. You're gonna get distracted by a thought, or you're gonna be like, oh wait, now I have an itch on my knee, or oh, I can notice my heartbeat, or whatever it is. So it's just this experiment of observation and noticing how things change, because nothing lasts forever, right? Not us, nothing. So, which is part of it. It's just part of the observation process. So we're doing it with as little judgment as possible. So for example, when you see the meteorologist on the news describing the weather, they're not saying like, God damn it, another 2 weeks of rain. It is never going to be spring in Cleveland, Ohio. It's just a washout. You're not going to get to do all the stuff that you really wanted to do. It's just terrible, and tomorrow's going to be bad, and the next day's worse. You're saying like 60% chance of rain, highs in the 60s, and it's very objective. So we can do that on ourselves, but we have to practice. I have a headache. How do you not be totally involved with it, but what does it really feel like? Oh, and what's happening in the rest of me? So a lot of times people say they do this and they get this lovely feeling of tranquility and peace, and that is really great. And what does that really feel like? What does that really mean? But I don't know. It just depends where you go. It's up and down, and if you're sitting for a while, things change. Things change. So it's something interesting. Just observe. So were you all able to find your breath?
I think so, yes.
It's a little tricky, I think. Like sometimes I find like then I can find it, but and it's here all the time. But noticing it, just noticing what that pattern is like, and not every breath is alike. Some are longer, and then there's that space between the exhale and the next inhale. And how closely can you really observe? Do your kids take the elevator?
Yeah. Yeah, he was told, go up, all the way up.
That's so funny. So my grandkids are here this weekend, and I don't want them to know we have an elevator. Stay on the elevator. Nobody tell them. But they found it. Yeah, that's right, because you just like to, so that's one very easy method that you could use, probably not when you're driving, but if you have a minute or two, it just kind of changes your focus. It just changes it. So I say it's like when my computer gets hosed up, I'm not really great with technology, but if I turn it off and I reboot it and turn it back on, most of the time it fixes it. And I think we're kind of the same way. Sometimes I just need to reboot. And the more, consistently you can reboot, your perspective changes. How it will change, I don't know. Yeah, so that's the breathing. So I do want to do a body scan and then sit in stillness. So when we talk about the sitting in stillness, again, it's not perfect, but you will be aware of different things coming and going. And I think we should try sitting for like 10 minutes. Does that sound okay? Yeah, so I just want you to relax into a comfortable, make sure have your pillows and whatever you need to be comfortable. I like feet flat on the floor because I like to feel that for myself. And once again, come back. if you're comfortable with eyes closed, that's fine. If you're not comfortable with eyes closed, that's okay. Just look down. So the idea is just to remove as many distractions as possible, and it's not possible to remove all distractions. It's just not. We may hear an ambulance siren. Somebody might have forgotten to turn off their phone. Things just happen. So sit in your comfortable and dignified position. And once again, find your breath. And now I'll ask you to use your imagination to imagine a warm ball of soft light that's floating right out in front of your face. And it's so soft and so warm that as it shines into your eyes, your eyeballs actually relax into your eye sockets. The light comes across your cheeks and your nose, and your cheeks and your nose relax. The light comes out of each of your ears, and everything that you've heard so far today is gone. The light travels down to your jaw. Your jaw is a place where you hold a lot of tension. So see if you can allow that warm, soft light to just relax your jaw. And you might notice that when you're standing in the grocery line and you pick the wrong line. Just notice what your jaw is doing. And for now, allow your jaw to be warm and soft and relaxed. The light's on the outside of your lips and the inside of your lips. And now allow your tongue to be bathed in light. Just let your tongue relax. The light comes down the front of your throat, and now it goes to your neck, to the back of your neck. And as the light, that imaginary light, travels down your neck becomes warm and soft and relaxed. The light sits on either shoulder, and everything you've been carrying around with you for all this time just slides right off, and your shoulders become warm and soft and relaxed. The light comes down the outside of your arms, all the way down to your hands, and now allow the light to sit in the palms of your hands. And see if you could feel that vibration of energy in the palms of your hands. All of your fingers relax, the webbing between your finger relaxes, and the light comes up the inside of your arms to your chest, so that your entire chest cavity is filled with a warm, soft light. And as your heart beats, it continues to beat that steady beat, that miraculous muscle that brings blood to every organ in your body. Your heart beats, but it's just a little bit softer and a little bit more relaxed. The light goes down into your belly, and just allow your stomach to go slack. Just let it relax. The light comes to the tops of your thighs, to your knees, to your shins, to the tops of your feet. And now feel the light across the soles of your feet, across the entire bottoms of your feet, and your feet are completely relaxed. The light comes back up your calves, to your thighs, to your seat where you have consented to sit. So sit. And now see if you could feel the light travel up your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Your spine is a perfect metaphor for everything that we want in this life. Strong enough to hold you erect, flexible enough to let you bend. And now allow the light to travel up your neck to the back of your skull, and allow the back of your skull to be warm and soft and relaxed. And now the top of your skull is warm and soft and relaxed. And even your brain, as it continues to have thoughts, the thoughts are just a little bit softer and a little bit more relaxed. And now once again, notice your breath. And as we sit here in stillness, the most important thing is to tell yourself, it's okay, you can get it, try again. So just like a small child who's learning to walk, you don't say when they get up and fall down, you don't say, it's no big deal, just walk, everybody can do it, it's not a problem. You say, it's okay, honey, I believe in you, try again, you're gonna get it. We encourage ourselves as well. Even if it's only for this 5 minutes a day, we encourage ourselves to try again, to try this practice. So as we sit here in stillness, you can find your breath and use that as your anchor. As thoughts come up, as aches in your body come up, whatever comes up, you can notice it and then come back to your breath. Anybody want to share anything? Anybody notice?
I just concentrated on my breathing the whole time.
How'd that go?
Good.
Anyone feel sleepy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Put my head in I felt like hot, like halfway through, like really, really hot, and a lot of vibration, like in my fingertips, my lips, but a lot of warmth, and then like halfway through it kind of broke. But when it broke, I was more aware, like, okay, my jaw, I was more aware of my body, but up till that broke, and then I cooled down. Weird, I don't know, but that's what I sensed.
And that probably happens to you. I mean, other times, obviously it does,
Yeah.
but you don't usually give yourself, you're like, I don't want to be hot.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to sit with it. And if you feel sleepy, which I feel very low energy today, you could just like wiggle your fingers or your toes a little bit if you find yourself nodding off. Or maybe you just need to sleep. So it does, you know, it gives you feedback. You need more sleep. Like you don't know. Yeah. So, did it go, I mean, was it comfortable?
That was very
So you don't, I mean, people do sit on the floor or sit cross-legged. I mean, that's fine. I think laying down in bed, you know, you tend to fall asleep. The idea is just to sit in a position where you think you'll be able to remain as alert as possible. It is kind of that weird place between being awake and being asleep. It's like you're sort of on that place where on the verge of falling asleep, you're sort of there. So sometimes it's hard to, you know, to stay alert enough. But there's no reason you have to be uncomfortable. There just isn't, you know. People do walking meditations, standing meditations, I mean, all different kinds of things. But I think whatever works for you is what you need to do. And if it's a guided meditation, fine. But the idea is to be as consistent as possible, just like any habit. You know, if you start going to the gym once a month, it's not, you know, you just lose it. And I think that, you know, for me as a, you know, trying to teach it, that's the struggle, is to help people be consistent. You know, I almost think like you have to, you know, kind of give homework.
Yeah. That's what I've had the hardest time, is being consistent with it. And, you know, do it occasionally. My son's very into it, but he says, okay, now Mom, when I leave, you gotta, you know, do this, but
Yeah.
I don't.
So, yeah, I think like if you tie it to a habit, that's already there, you know, like if you know every time you make your first cup of coffee, you're gonna sit down for 5 minutes. But it might be something as simple as picking the longest line at the grocery store and saying, I'm just gonna be very mindful of what's happening here right now. You know, and kind of look at around, orienting yourself, noticing the sounds. You could just focus on sounds. And that brings you into the present. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, this sitting in stillness practice. It's great, it's a great practice, but if it's not gonna happen now, I don't know, but things do change.